In class, we read multiple documents, texts, and books that all present the theme of human rights. I will be discussing a couple of these key literary texts in my presentation, starting off with one of the fictional books me and my group read, A Thousand Splendid Suns. In the beginning of the book, Miriam's mother tells her, "Learn this now and learn this well, my daughter. Like a compass needle that points north, a man's accusing finger always finds a woman." As Miriam grows older, she begins to see what this really means. From the burden Julia puts on Miriam for her mother's death, to Rashid blaming her for everything that goes wrong in his life, these words her mother told her become a refrain as she goes throughout her life. This just goes to show how the Taliban felt about women and how they viewed their power. The author gives the reader an understanding of the human rights issues that are still relevant in today's Afghanistan society. And by giving specific examples of how the Taliban treated women, people can see what daily life was like for a woman living in Kabul. Physical abuse, rape, and very little to no freedom were things that these people had to live with when the Taliban stripped the woman of their visibility, voice, and mobility. And I believe this is what created such a huge impact on the reader and gave society a better understanding of the issues that women have to face. Now on to the next text, The Crucible by Arthur Miller. During the time period that this movie was set in, hysteria spread throughout the community. The hunt for women and men who were practicing witchcraft went on for months, and the Salem witch trials violated several human rights. Cruel and unusual punishment was given to any person who was convicted of being guilty. Article 4 in the Declaration of Human Rights states, "No one shall be subjected to torture or to cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment." This was obviously ignored in the actual Salem witch trials, and people were put to death in many terrible ways. Another major text we discussed during the school year was A Long Way Gone by Ishmael Bea. This is a story of a young boy, Ishmael, who becomes an unwilling boy soldier during a civil war in Sierra Leone. He becomes something he never dreamed of. He's brainwashed by the army into believing that by killing these people, they're avenging their own family slaughter. They become addicted to cocaine, marijuana, and brown, which completely represses all of their emotions during this time. The story of Bea shows how unfair his people were treated and the lack of human rights they were given, which is what made this book so impactful to the reader. It gives a small glimpse into the lives of these young boys that are forced into many extreme things. Page 29, he said, "Things changed rapidly in a matter of seconds and no one had any control over anything. We had yet to learn these things and implement survival tactics, which is what it came down to." Bea's life had completely turned upside down. He was now forced to put his priorities aside and focus on his mere survival in all of the chaos. The reader is then forced to imagine what these young 12-year-old boys are having to go through, which is what creates such a strong message. The last minor work we discussed in class was The Song of Myself by Walt Whitman. In this poem, Walt explains that he believes every person is equal and how he loves everything about this world he lives in, specifically nature. He believes every person should be treated the same, which means they should also share the same human rights. Whitman states, "I am not contained between my hat and boots." I think this is him referring to himself as a spirit that connects with every person and everything. I think he believes in the good of every person and is a heavy supporter of equal human rights.